Tonight's sleep meditation is a nighttime hypnosis that will help you fall asleep. Take a moment to become aware of your body and all that you feel. With every breath you take, you become more and more relaxed. Feel the tensions releasing from your head and your neck, your shoulders and arms. As you exhale, feel the relaxation fill your body from your toes up to your legs, torso, and finally your neck and head. Begin to feel your body floating, being soothed by the soft energy surrounding you. Inhale deeply with every exhale. You can feel the tension slowly release. You are safe, and nothing can disturb you in this state of deep relaxation. See if you can imagine a staircase in front of you. This staircase has 10 steps, and with each step, you will feel more and more relaxed. With each number, allow yourself to sink deeper into relaxation. 1. Take the first step down and feel a wave of relaxation wash over you. You are becoming more and more relaxed with each passing moment. 2. Take the second step down and feel your muscles begin to relax. Your body is becoming more and more at ease. 3. Take the third step down and feel your breath slowing down. You are becoming more and more peaceful. 4. Take the fourth step down and feel a sense of warmth and comfort envelop you. You are feeling more and more relaxed. 5. Take the fifth step and feel any tension in your body melting away. You are becoming more and more comfortable. 6. Take the sixth step down and feel your mind begin to quiet down. You are quiet and clear. 7. Take the seventh step down and feel a sense of deep relaxation spread throughout your body. You are feeling more and more tranquil. 8. Take the eighth step down and feel yourself drifting deeper and deeper into rest. Serenity is taking over. 9. Take the ninth step down and feel yourself melting further, calm and light. 10. Take the final step down and feel yourself sink into a deep, restful sleep. You are completely relaxed and at ease. As you continue to breathe deeply, imagine a beautiful garden in front of you. This garden is filled with beautiful flowers and plants of all kinds. It is a place of beauty and tranquility. Immerse yourself in this garden and feel the peace and serenity that surrounds you. As you walk through the garden, you come across a small pond. The water is calm and still, and you can see the reflection of the stars above. The moon is shining bright in the sky, and you can feel its gentle light bathing you in its glow. The air is warm and pleasant, and you can hear the soothing music of crickets and frogs. As you sit by the pond, you notice a small boat. It's a simple wooden boat, and it's inviting you to take a ride. You step into the boat and you begin to row. As you row, you feel yourself becoming more and more relaxed. The water is calm and the stars are shining bright above you. As you row, you notice a small island in the distance. It's a beautiful island, and it's inviting you to come ashore. You row towards the island, and as you approach, you notice a small cabin. The cabin is warm and inviting, and it's calling out to you. You step inside the cabin and you notice a comfortable bed. It's a warm and cozy bed, and it's inviting you to lie down, to crawl into the bed, and you feel yourself sinking deeper and deeper into relaxation, deeper and deeper into sleep. Melt into the bed. The night is embracing you, ready to hold you safely throughout the night. Surrender and sleep. Namaste, beautiful. Chapter 4. The Forge. Afterwards, Jared could barely remember scrambling from the ditch. He could not remember stumbling through the tangled weeds and thorny bushes beyond the road. He did not know what guided him to the blacksmith's forge, where at last he fell, fainting to the ground. Perhaps he saw the glow of the fire. Perhaps he heard the hammer beating on the red-hot metal, and the sound reminded him of his lessons with Endon. Or perhaps the spirit of Auden was looking after him. For Cryan the blacksmith, stubborn and fearless, was perhaps the only man in Dell who would have taken him in. Cryan roused him and helped him into the small house behind the forge. At Cryan's call, a sweet-faced girl came running. Her eyes were full of questions, but she was silent as she helped Cryan give Jared water and bread and bathed his cuts and scratches. They took his filthy, torn clothes and gave him a long, plain nightshirt and tucked him into a narrow bed. Then Jared slept. When he woke, the great hammer was ringing onto metal once more. The girl was singing in the kitchen, and the sun was setting. He had slept the day through. At the end of his bed, he found a set of clothes. He pulled them on, tidied the bed, and crept outside. He found Cryan at work in the forge. The old man turned and looked at him without speaking. "I thank you for your kindness with all my heart," Jared said awkwardly. "I will leave now, for I do not want to cause you any trouble, but I beg you not to say I was here if the palace guards come searching. They will tell you I tried to kill the new king, but I did not do it." "So much the worse," the old man answered grimly, returning to his work. "Many in Del would thank you if you had." Jared caught his breath. So this was how things were. The king was not loved, but hated. And no wonder. As far as his people knew, he lived in luxury behind his high walls, while they suffered. They did not understand that he had no idea of their trouble. "The guards will not come," the old man said without turning around. "I threw your clothes over a cliff into the sea and watched as they found them. They think that you are drowned." Jared did not know what to say. He saw that Cryan had finished the horseshoe he had been hammering. Without thinking, he picked up the heavy tongs behind the forge and stepped forward. Cryan glanced at him in surprise, but let him pick up the shoe and dip it into the barrel of water standing ready. The water hissed and bubbled as the iron cooled. "You have done this work before," the old man murmured. Jared nodded. "A little," he said. Carefully, he lifted the horseshoe from the water and laid it aside. "I am old," Cryan said, watching him. "My son, whose clothes you are wearing now, was killed 3 years ago. His dear wife died before him. When their child was born, I have only that child, Anna, now. We live simply, but there is always food on the table, and will be while I keep my strength." He glanced down at Jared's hands, soft and white, with long, rounded nails. "You could stay here, boy," he said, "but you would have to work hard to earn your keep. Could you do it?" "I could," said Jared strongly. Nothing would please him more than to stay. He liked the old blacksmith. He liked the calm, sweet-faced Anna. Here, too, he would be close to the palace. He could do nothing for Endon now, except keep watch. But he had vowed that this he would do. Crandine thought he was dead, but he would be unlikely to tell Endon so. It would suit his purpose better to let the king think Jared was still alive and dangerous. If he feared for his life, Endon would be even more willing to do exactly as he was told. But one day Endon may realize that after all I was right, thought Jared. One day he may call me, and if ever that happens, I will be ready. So it was settled. Jared took shears and cut off the long plaits of hair that marked him so plainly as coming from the palace. And after that, every day, he worked in the forge. He already knew how to hammer hot iron and steel to make fine swords and shields. Now, he had to learn to make simpler things, like horseshoes, axes, and blades for plows. But this he did quickly, and as his muscles hardened and his soft hands grew tough, he took over more and more of the blacksmith's work. The forge was busy, but still, Cryan and Anna were poor. Jared soon discovered that this was because most of the people in Del were even poorer and could pay little for the work the blacksmith did for them. Some indeed could give nothing, and these Cryan would help them all the same. "Pay me when you can." By the second day, Jared had realized with a sinking heart that everything he and Endon had been taught about life outside the palace had been a lie. The city was a place of hunger illness and struggle. Beyond its walls, strange, terrible beasts and bands of robbers prowled. For many years, no news had come from the towns and villages scattered through the countryside. Many people were weak with hunger, yet it was said that in the dead of night, heavily guarded carts, piled high with food and drink, trundled into the city and up the palace gates. No one knew where the carts came from.
Somewhere far away, in any case,
Cryan muttered, as they sat by the fire on the second night.
Such luxuries could not be found here.
It is said that Deltora was once a land of peace and plenty, Anna added. But that was a long time ago. The new king knows nothing of this, Jared cried. Neither did the old king. You should have told him.
Told him?
Cryan growled angrily.
We told him time and time again.
He swung around in his chair and pulled an old tin box from the shelf. He thrust the box at Jared.
Open it,
he ordered. Jared lifted the lid of the box. Inside were many small rolls of parchment edged with gold. Confused, he picked out one of the rolls and straightened it. The king thanks you for your message. He will attend to your request when time allows it. Frowning, Jared thrust the parchment back into the box and picked out another. It was exactly the same, and so was the next he looked at, and the next. The only difference in the fourth was that it spoke of the Queen instead of the King, and it was signed Lilia. Queen Lilia had been Alton's mother, Jared remembered. He scrabbled through the parchments. There were hundreds of them, all stamped with the royal seal. Some were much older than others, signed with royal names he remembered from his history lessons.
They are all the same,
Cryan said, watching him reading one after another.
The only difference between them is the name after the other.
The only difference between them is the name at the bottom.
For centuries, messages have been sent to the palace, begging for help. And these accursed parchments are all the people have ever received in return. Nothing has ever been done. Nothing!
Jared's throat tightened with pain and anger. King Alton, at least, never received your messages, Cryan, he said, as calmly as he could. I think they were kept from him by his chief advisor, a man called Prandine.
The king signed these replies and fixed them to his royal seal,
Cryan pointed out coldly, flicking his finger at the box.
As did his mother and grandfather before him.
It is the rule, the custom, that the chief advisor prepares all replies for the king to sign, explained Jared. The old king signed the seal whatever Prandine put in front of him.
Then he was a fool and a weakling,
Cryan snapped back,
as no doubt his son is also. Endon will be as useless as his father.
He shook his head.
I fear for Deltora, he muttered. We are now so weak that should invasion come from the Shadowlands, we could not do anything to protect ourselves.
The Shadow Lord will not invade, grandfather, Anna soothed. Not while the belt of Deltora protects us, and our king guards the belt. That, at least, he does for us. Jared felt a chill of fear, but he could not bring himself to tell Anna that she was wrong. If she found out that the king did not wear the belt, but let it be shut away, under the care of others, she would lose the last of her hope. Oh, Endon, he thought, as he went to bed that night. I cannot reach you unless you wish it. You are too well guarded. But you can reach me. Go to the hollow tree. Read my note. Send the signal. From that time on, before he started work each morning, Jared looked up at the tree rising against the misty cloud on the hill. He would look carefully searching for the glint of the king's golden arrow at the top, the signal that Endon needed him. But it was a long, long time before the signal came, and by then, it was too late. Chapter 5. The Enemy Strikes. Years passed and life went on. Jared and Anna married. Then old Cryan died, and Jared took his place as a blacksmith. Sometimes Jared almost forgot that he had ever had another life. It was as if his time in the palace had been a dream. But still, every dawn, he looked up to the tree on the hill. And still, he often read the small book he had found in the palace library. In the palace library. Then he feared for what the future might hold. He feared for his beloved Anna and the child they were expecting. He feared for himself, for Endon, and for the whole of Deltora. One night, exactly 7 years after the night Endon was crowned, Jared tossed restlessly in his bed. "It is nearly daybreak, and you have not slept, Jared," Anna said gently at last. "What is troubling you?"
"I do not know, dear heart," Jared murmured, "but I cannot rest."
"Perhaps the room is too warm," she said, climbing out of bed. "I will open the window a little more." She had pulled the curtains aside and was reaching for the window fastening, when suddenly she screamed and jumped backwards. Jared leapt up and ran to her. "There!" Anna exclaimed, pointing, as he had put his arm around her. "Oh, Jared, what are they?" Jared stared through the window and caught his breath. In the sky above the palace on the hill, monstrous shapes were wheeling and circling. It was still too dark to see them clearly, but there was no doubt that they were huge birds. There were 7. Their necks were long. Their great, hooked beasts were cruel. Their mighty wings flapped clumsily, but strongly, beating at the air. As Jared watched, they swooped, rose again, and then separated, flying off swiftly in different directions. A name came to him, a name from the schoolroom of his past. "Akbaba," he hissed. His arm tightened around Anna's shoulders. She turned to him, her eyes wide and frightened. "Akbaba," he repeated slowly, still staring at the palace. "Great birds that eat dead flesh and live for 1,000 years. 7 of them serve the Shadow Lord." "Why are they here?" Anna whispered. "I do not know, but I fear." Jared broke off abruptly and leaned forward. He had seen something glinting brightly in the first feeble rays of the sun. For a moment he stood motionless. Then he turned to Anna, his face grim and pale. "Endon's arrow is in the tree," he said. "The call has come." In moments Jared had dressed and run from the house behind the forge. He hurried up the hill to the palace, his mind racing. How was he to reach Endon? If he climbed the wall, the guards inside would certainly see him. He would be hit by a dozen arrows before he reached the ground. The cart that collected the food scraps would be of no use to him. Prandine must have guessed that Jared had used it to escape, because it was no longer permitted to enter the palace. These days, it waited between the 2 sets of gates while guards loaded it with snacks. "Endon himself is the only one who can help me," Jared thought as he ran. "Perhaps he will be watching for me, waiting for me." But as he slowed, panting, in sight of the palace gates, he could see that they were firmly closed and the road outside was deserted. Jared moved closer, his spine prickling. The long grass that ringed the palace walls whispered in the breeze of dawn. He could be walking into a trap. Perhaps at any moment, guards would spring from their hiding places in the grass and lay hands on him. Perhaps Endon had at last decided to betray him to Prandine. His feet brushed something lying in the dust of the road. He looked down and saw a child's wooden arrow. A small piece of paper had been rolled around the arrow's shaft and tied there. His heart beating hard, Jared picked up the arrow and pulled away the paper, but as he flattened it out and looked at it, his excitement died. Wake the bear, do not fear. Scurry mouse, into your house. Lift the lid, be glad you did. It was just a child's drawing. Some palace child had been playing a game, practicing shooting arrows over the wall as he and Endon once had done. Jared screwed the paper in disgust and threw it to the ground. He looked around again at the closed gates, the empty road. Still, there was no movement, no sign. There was nothing but the wooden arrow lying in the dust and the little ball of paper rolling slowly away from him, driven by the breeze. He stared at it, and the foolish little rhyme came back to him. Strange, he thought idly. That rhyme sounds almost like a set of instructions. Instructions that a small child could chant and remember. An idea seized him. He ran after the paper and snatched it up again. He smoothed out the creases and looked at it closely, this time seeing things that he had overlooked before. The paper wasn't yellowed with age, and the writing, though childish, was strangely familiar. This is the way Endon used to print when he was small, he thought in wonder. And Endon drew the picture too, I'm sure of it. Suddenly, he realized what must have happened. Endon had had little time, yet he wanted to send Jared a message, so he snatched up one of his old childhood drawings and sent it over the wall. He had used a child's wooden arrow so that the guards would take no notice if they saw it lying on the ground. And if Jared was right, Endon had not chosen just any drawing. This one had a special meaning for him. Why else would he have kept it? Wake the bear, do not fear. Jared waited no longer. With the paper clutched in his hand, he left the road and moved left, following the wall. The road was out of sight by the time he found what he was searching for. Even overgrown with long grass and shadowed by a clump of straggly bushes, the shape of a huge rock was clear. It really did look exactly like a sleeping animal. Jared forced his way through the undergrowth of the rock. He saw that at one end, where the bear's nose rested on its paws, the grass grew less strongly than it did anywhere else. Why would that be? Unless, time to wake up, old bear, Jared muttered aloud. He ran to the place, threw himself to his knees, and began pulling at the weak grass. It came away easily, as he had scrabbled in the earth beneath it. Jared realized with a wave of relief that he had been right. There was only a thin layer of soil here. Beneath it was a large, round metal plate. It took only moments for his powerful hands to uncover the plate completely and pull it aside. A dark hole was revealed. Its walls were lined with stone. In wonder, Jared realized that he had found the entrance to a tunnel. Scurry mouse, into your house. He knew what he must do. He lay flat on his stomach and wriggled into the hole, pulling himself forward on his elbows until the space broadened and his way became easier. So now the mouse in the mouse hole, he thought grimly, as he crawled along the darkness. Let us hope that no cat is waiting on the other end. For a short time, the tunnel sloped downwards. Then it became more level, and Jared realized that he was moving through the center of the hill. The air was still. The walls around him were ancient stone, and the blackness was complete. He crawled on, losing all track of time. At last, the tunnel ended in a set of steep stone steps that led upwards. His heart thudding, Jared began to climb blindly. He had to feel his way up, one step at a time. Then, without warning, the top of his head hit rock-hard stone. With a shock, he realized that the way above was blocked. He could go no further. Hot panic flared in him. Had this been a trap after all? Were the guards even now creeping through the tunnel after him, knowing that they would find him cowering here, without hope of escape? And through the confusion of his thoughts, he remembered. Lift the lid. Be glad you did. The panic died. Jared stretched up his arms, pushed firmly, and felt the stone above his head move. He pushed harder, then staggered, and nearly fell, as with a grating sound of stone moved smoothly aside. He climbed the last few steps, and crawled out of blackness into soft, flickering light. "Who are you?" barked a deep, angry voice. A tall, shimmering figure was looming over him. Jared blinked up at it. After being so long in darkness, his eyes were watering, dazzled by the light. "My name is Jared," he cried. "Stay back!" He scrambled to his feet, blindly feeling for his sword. Then suddenly, with a rustle of rich silk and the clinking of golden ornaments, the figure was falling to its knees before him. "Oh, Jared, how could I not have known you?" the voice cried. "For the sake of our old friendship, I beg you to forgive the past. You are the only one I can trust. Please help us." And only then did Jared realize the man at his feet was Endon. Chapter 6. Friends to the Death. With a shaky laugh, Jared bent to raise the kneeling king. "Endon! Endon! I did not know you either. Get up for mercy's sake!" As he stared, his eyes slowly adjusting to the light, he thought that it was no wonder that he had not recognized his old friend. The slim, solemn boy he had left behind him several years ago had become a man. Endon had grown as tall and broad-shouldered as Jared himself. His stiff robes and high collar were encrusted with tiny gems that glittered in the light. His eyes were outlined with black, and his eyelids colored blue in the palace fashion. His long hair and beard were plaited and twined with gold. He smelt of perfume and spices. To Jared, who had been so long away from the palace and its ways, he made a strange, awesome picture. Jared realized that Endon was staring at him too, and suddenly he became aware of his workman's clothes, his thick boots, his rough beard and untidy hair. He felt clumsy and awkward. To hide this, he turned away. As he did, at last he realized where he was. He was in the chapel. One of the marble tiles that surrounded the raised platform of the center had been pushed aside, and the dark hole gaped where it had lain. The tunnel through the hill is known only to the royal family, and it is only to be used in times of great danger, he heard Endon say softly. King Brandon caused it to be made when the palace was built. My father taught me of it when I was very young, as he had been taught in his time, in words that even a small child would remember. There is a rhyme for entering the palace, and a rhyme for leaving it. It is a dark secret. Even the chief advisors have never known of it. Jared did not reply. He had raised his eyes to the platform and seen what was laying there. It was the body of an old woman. Her work-worn hands were folded on her chest. Her wrinkled face was peaceful in the flickering light of the candles that surrounded her. "Min," he whispered. His eyes burned with sudden tears as he looked at the old nurse who had cared for him through his childhood. He had not seen her for many years, but he had thought of her often. It was hard to believe that she was dead. "She had a grown-up son, you know," she murmured, "who lived in the palace. I never met him, I asked for him when I heard she had died. They told me he had run away, escaped through the gates during the feast. He was afraid, Jared. Min must have told him what she heard. He knew she had been killed. Killed? Gasped Jared. But... Endon's face was twisted with sorrow. She came to me in my chamber. I was about to leave for the feast celebrating my 7 years as king, he muttered. She was troubled. She had been working in her sewing room and had overheard whispering outside that frightened her. She told me that there were enemies within the palace and that some great evil was to strike this night. He bowed his head. I would not listen to her. I thought she had fallen asleep over her work and dreamed. I smiled at her fears and sent her away. And within the hour, she was dead. She had fallen from the top of the stairs to the hall below. They say it was an accident, but you do not think so, Jared finished for him, looking sadly at Min's still, pale face. You think she was killed because of what she knew? Yes, said Endon in a low voice, and my wife thinks it too. Jared glanced at him. You are married then, he said. I too. Endon half smiled. That is good, he murmured politely. I hope that you are as happy in your marriage as I am in mine. My wife, the queen, is called Sharn. We had never spoken to each other before our wedding day, as is the rule, but she grows more dear to me in every year that passes. Our first child will be born at summer's end, and ours in the early autumn, said Jared. There was a moment's silence as each of them thought of the changes that 7 years had brought. Then Endon looked straight into Jared's eyes. It is good to see you again, my friend, he said softly. I have been cruelly punished for believing that you could betray me. I have missed you sorely. And suddenly, all the strangeness between them melted away. Jared thrust out his hand and clasped Endon's warmly. Friends to the death, we were as boys, and friends to the death we will always be, he said. You must have known this in your heart, Endon, because you sent for me when trouble came. I wish only that the summons had been sooner. I fear we have little time. Then Min was right, Endon whispered. There is evil here. There has been evil here for a long time, said Jared. And now, both of them swung around, their hands on their swords, as they heard the door behind them click open. Endon, it is past dawn, a voice called softly. Sharn, exclaimed Endon. He ran to meet the pretty young woman who was slipping into the chapel. She was as richly robed as he, and her glossy hair was twisted high on her head. There were deep shadows under her eyes, as if she had kept watch all night. She gasped and shrank back when she saw Jared. Do not be afraid, Sharn, Endon said gently. It is only Jared. Jared, you came! She exclaimed, her tired face breaking into a relieved smile. I did, nodded Jared, and I will do what I can to help you fight the trouble that has come to our land. But we must act quickly. We must go at once to the tower, so that Endon can reclaim the belt of Deltora. Endon stared at him, white-faced. Jared, I cannot, he stammered. The rule. Forget the rule, Endon, Jared hissed, striding towards the door. I told you this once, and you would not listen to me. Do not make the mistake a second time. The belt is Deltora's only protection. The people depend upon you to guard it, and I think that it is in danger. Grave danger. As Endon stood motionless, still hesitating, Sharn put her arm through his. You are the king, Endon, she said quietly. Your duty to Deltora is far greater than your duty to obey the rule. Let us go together to the tower. And at last, Endon nodded. Very well, he said. We will go together. They ran up the great stairs, past the first floor, the second, the third, and on towards the tower room. They took care to move quietly, but they saw no one. It was still very early, and though the cooks had begun to move around in the kitchens downstairs, few others in the palace were stirring. By the time they reached the last flight of stairs, Jared had begun to think that all was going to be well. He climbed eagerly, with Endon and Sharn close behind him. He reached the top, then stopped abruptly. The tower room door was gaping open, its 3 gold locks broken. On the floor outside, 3 guards lay dead where they had fallen, their swords still clutched in their hands. Jared heard a sobbing gasp behind him. Then Endon ran past him into the tower. There was a single, anguished cry, and silence. Jared's heart seemed to turn over in his chest. Slowly, he and Sharn followed the king. The small, round room was still, and a foul smell hung the air. The sky outside was open. Windows was filled with angry, red light as the newly risen sun glared through a smothering blanket of cloud. The glass case that sheltered the belt of Deltora had been shattered into 1,000 pieces. Endon was on his knees among the glittering fragments. The belt, or what remained of it, lay on the floor in front of him. He picked it up. It hung limply between his hands, a tangled, useless chain of gray steel. Its medallions were torn and twisted. The 7 gems were gone. And that is the end for today's read. Thank you very much. I hope you have a wonderful sleep, and I will see you